Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hello, Renée Marino. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here this wonderful Saturday afternoon. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me here. I am very honored.
Oh, I am honored to have you here today. We're going to touch on a super important topic, and more important than ever with Zoom kind of being overtaxing to a lot of people and businesses. 5 virtual communication pitfalls and how they impact your business and bottom line. And we know all of our business owners out there want to know how we can impact our bottom line in a positive way. And you can definitely do that with communications. But before we go to share all those wonderful tips and strategies, just share a little bit about your background, how you came into the world of communications.
Well, Christina, I have always been obsessed with communication. I'm sure just like you and so many of our listeners, there's that thing in your life that you're just like, I love it. I want to learn more about it. I'm obsessed. And for me, it was communication. And as a little girl growing up, that communication was had through the vessel of performing. And I became a dancer and a singer and an actor. And for over 16 years, I was a professional actress on Broadway, in film and TV. And it was just the most incredible, beautiful way to express myself to the world and really communicate on a grand scale. Wow. And after 16 years of this life that I always dreamt of, I knew that I wanted to use my gifts in a different way. And I began writing a book on communication. I was doing my last Broadway show, Pretty Woman, the musical. And in between numbers, I would go into the crew room and write. I'd have my wig on, my costume, my 5 pounds of stage makeup, and I would just be writing. And I just felt like I was having the book be written through me. That's how natural it felt. And I'm sure you have those moments where you're just doing that thing that when you do it, it's like time slows down, you're in the zone and you just feel so happy and grateful. And that was me writing the book. So when the show closed, I said to myself, you know, Renée, it's time for a new chapter. And you've always loved communication. You've always been intrigued with the way people connect and why they connect in the ways they do. So I said, I would love to coach in this industry. And I immersed myself. I learned everything I could about becoming a communication coach. And I became a coach while I was writing my book. And here we are.
Wow. How many years has it been since you got started in this area?
It's been almost 2. So it seems like it's fairly new, but to be so honest with you, I have been coaching in this way for as long as I can remember. Even as a performer, I did so much teaching and coaching with young individuals coming up in the business. And whether it's an actor, whether it's an engineer, whether it's an entrepreneur, everything starts with communication. And that's what I realized is that is the ground level basis of everything we do. And especially in business, if we can master this skill of really bringing our honest, authentic selves to every interaction we have, we become unstoppable.
Yeah, I totally love that. And it's true. You know, I think some of the things that we do naturally, like you said, you were with your makeup on, your wig, and you're doing this, and it was so natural. I think some of the things that we do so natural, we take for granted because it is our great gift to give the world. But often, whatever your great gift is, if it's, building boats or flying airplanes, behind all of that starts with being able to communicate your vision or what you do with the world so you can go out there and explode and give it to the world.
Christina, you just said it. I just got chill bumps because you said that so beautifully. And I just want to bring this to everyone's attention really briefly. As you said, we often overlook the things that we do so naturally and we love as something, I couldn't make money doing that. There's no way. But I encourage all of you to first have that communication with yourself, because that's what sets the foundation for all of your exterior communications, the communication with yourself. And take out your journal and a pen and ask yourself, what do I love doing that when time passes,
Yeah.
It feels like it actually time stops. What are those things? And get in tune with yourself, because once you have that honest communication with yourself, that just sets a beautiful tone for the rest of your communication in your exterior relationships.
Yeah, I mean, you are so right, Renee. There is a guy I just checked out on YouTube. We were living in New York for most of my life, and we've recently moved to Texas. And so my husband started checking out this guy on YouTube who does walks all through 5 boroughs of New York and just talks. Oh, this is going on here, that's going here. Not necessarily history, but just talks about what he's seeing and what's going on. And, you know, the world loves New York City if you haven't been able to go visit. So they get to go visit through him, and he's exploding and making good money, I think, through YouTube. And so you think, hey, I walk. What is that going to do for me? I can't make money that way. And well, this guy would show you otherwise. And so you are so right there. But there are pitfalls people make with the idea of communication. They don't really always communicate the most effective way. What are some of the pitfalls you've seen working with people?
Oh, well, Christina, would you like to talk about the pitfalls when it comes to virtual communication or in-person direct communication?
Well, let's do virtual now, because the whole world seems to be still operating mostly Zoom. So I think there's pitfalls on both sides, but right now, since so many people are working from home, let's go there.
Perfect. Well, as you just said, this virtual landscape is something that we are all experiencing, and it's such a gift. I mean, you and I get to chat with each other. I'm in New Jersey, you're in Texas, and it's like we're sitting in the same room. But there are pitfalls that we're all experiencing, and I'd love to talk about this. So number one, making sure that your technical elements are what I call distractible proof. We don't want anything to distract the people or person on the other end of that screen from hearing what we have to say fully and completely. Christina, I'm sure you can attest. Nowadays, it is very easy to be distracted because of all of these virtual outlets we have. Every moment we're catching our attention, our attention's being caught by a notification on our phone, or we go to research something in Google and an ad pops up. That next thing we know, we're taken to a flight site and we're booking a flight for a vacation we're not even taking. And then, and then 20 minutes later, you're saying to yourself, what was I doing? And that happens very easily. And it's a gift, technology, but we also have to be able to balance it with really keeping ourselves in that human experience. So to do that when we're in a Zoom meeting or a virtual call is to think about your background. The background is what you're seeing. You're seeing my wall here. If there's anything that really can catch the person's eye on the other end of the screen, we actually want to avoid that. Because again, the minute we catch their eye with a photo or with a beautiful piece of art or whatever it may be, now we can have the potential for them saying, in their heads, wonder who that is in the photo. I wonder if that's her father or her husband. And next thing you know, that person is off on a tangent and missing everything that we're saying. And especially for our business and bottom line, we want to be heard fully and completely. So if you can have a background that is as simple as possible, the simpler, the better. Also, lighting. As you can see right now, I'm in front of a ring light. I hope you can see me well. I believe you can. And that's what we want. That's the point of being on video. So you can see me, you can experience my energy, you can see my my body language. That's really important, as well as being in a place that is quiet. There's nothing else going on in the background. There's not a TV on or other conversations. And I just want to preface this by saying, many of you could be thinking, oh, that's simple. Well, I know that already, but you would be shocked to know how many people still enter a conversation or a meeting where there are two people next to them having a full-on conversation. I want to tell you a quick funny story. I was recently coaching a company, and it was a group of incredible women, and I was coaching them on how to authentically connect with their clients. And I'm speaking, and it's going wonderful. And all of a sudden, one of the women started going about her nightly routine in the middle of me speaking. And I'm seeing her, right? And I'm thinking, wow, this is interesting, right? And she proceeds to brush her long picturesque hair and use the screen as a mirror. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be such a great lesson. Then she brings me to dinner with her and her family. I'm not even kidding you. And I sit down to what looked like a delicious, beautiful dinner with she and her family. And again, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm with her and 5 family members. And is she realizing that I can see her?
Yeah.
And for myself, that was distracting because now I'm watching her eat her dinner and I was thinking, whoa. So it's just a perfect example of how you have to know your surroundings. Know that even though you may be home, you want to treat this like an in-person meeting. And you can do that with all of your elements being what I call distractible proof.
Yeah, I love that. That was a perfect lesson. And one thing I had what's that new thing? Clubhouse. I did it recently. It was interesting. And it was kind of like dating for business. They had to connect to 6 different people for like 3 minutes and we got to talk about our businesses. But bottom line is there was one gal saying, I love your background. It's just a couple lights connected to the top of a pole that's holding up this screen here. The screen is on Amazon, $60. It's awesome. Covers the whole rest of my apartment. You don't need to see that, not important. But what I love about it is just what you're talking about. It's distract free and it's really simple. And then people just get to see what we're talking about. Nothing distracting or people walking by or any of that stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. You said it. And what we want to always remember that as human beings, as business owners, as business operators, we want to connect with people. And even though it's through a screen, it doesn't matter. If you treat it like an in-person conversation, that's what it will feel like. And if you give that person or that group of people that same respect that hopefully you're giving them in person, then you can only expect beautiful rewards. And that's what we want in business. Simon Sinek says, and I love, it's one of my favorite quotes. He says, we don't do business with companies, we do business with people. And if we always remember that and hold on to that in every meeting that we have, virtually or otherwise, we're going to be very successful.
Yeah, this is fabulous tips for audience. Now, one thing I see is a really kitschy is people, like you were talking earlier, or might have been before the interview, is how people just love their electronic devices. I remember calling this one company of ours we work with, and they kept DMing me, and it's not my favorite way to do business, but they kept DMing me, and I finally said, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to talk to this person. And I kept going straight to voicemail, but I wouldn't even hear anything. It would just go there. I hear no one talk. It wouldn't tell me whose voicemail I'm on and just hang up. I'm like, where am I? So I just kept calling back going, there must be something wrong. I'm reaching the wrong number. By the 4th time, she picked up and said, don't you realize I have it on Do Not Disturb? Why are you not DMing me? And like, but we have a problem. And I thought this would be the best way to rectify it. And she's like, it's not. You got to make time with me. Put yourself in my calendar. And I was like, really not a good way to make me want to do business with you. What are some of your ideas with digital communication and DM and emailing and all of that?
Yes, there is a time and a place for it. And I like to say, in order to be a master communicator, it's about knowing the right time and place to communicate through digital means, i.e. text, email, DM, Instagram, and the right time and place to put the digital devices aside and have that more direct conversation or pick up the phone. And I was just doing an interview myself with someone just the other day, and we had this conversation and we went on and on about this because it's something that we're all facing. And what I explained to him is with my own team, I told them right up front that communication is everything to me. And yes, we are going to be communicating through email and text, but when push comes to shove and there is something really critical that we need to discuss, or there seems to be some miscommunication happening through the keyboard, that's when we right away say, okay, can we have a phone conversation or can we meet in person? Or have a Zoom. And that's the way to discern. If there is a moment where all of a sudden you feel some twinge of, there might be some miscommunication happening here, think no more and pick up that phone, maybe send another email and say, hey, do you have time right now or in a half hour to have a quick conversation? Then what you're doing is you're cutting to the chase. You are saving yourself the number one power player in all of our lives, time, which we cannot get back. We're saving ourselves time. We're saving ourselves energy from assuming what we think the meaning is through that text or email. And we're getting right to the heart of the communication matter. Yeah. And Christina, I'm sure you've experienced this, but for myself, whenever that happens between my team and myself, and we get on the phone, this happened just last week. Within 2 minutes, the problem's resolved. Yeah. And I always laugh because I go, this would have taken 25 emails back and forth. Yeah. Good thing that I I was like, I think we're at the limit of virtual email communication. Let's pick up the phone. Yeah. Or if I am close to them on that particular day, I'll say, let's meet up, let's grab a coffee. And it just helps to make things so much easier. So that way we can get back to business.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think also just remembering to be flexible with communication. I mean, this particular gal I'm talking about did not like to do anything but DM, but in a business, you have to decide to be flexible. I started out not really liking a cell phone. It took me forever. I think I was in business 4 or 5 years before I even got a cell phone. Yes. I know. I was really, really like centuries back. I was like,
no, but that's good I get it. I get it.
But you know what? I finally got one because I said enough people want to get a hold of me and I should be able to be accessible. And so the flexibility I found was key for me to be able to realize who needs what and when, and just to be flexible with the type of communication that the person that I'm talking to may need or communicating with.
For sure. Yeah. For
sure. Well, this has been awesome. Where can people work with you, find out more about you? How do they do that?
Yes, please do. You can find me on Instagram at I am Renée Marino. You can find me on Facebook at Coach Renée Marino, my website, reneemarino.com. Hop on, say hello, send me a DM. I love to connect and I would love to share more.
Yeah, and they can go get your book, Becoming a Master Communicator, Balancing New School Technology with Old School Simplicity. I love the name. And where can they get copies of this?
Yes, I would love if you head to pre-order my book. This is very, very exciting for me. I am a first-time author and the book will be actually released in bookstores January 25th. But when you pre-order now on becomingamastercommunicator.com, you get 2 incredible bonuses. And Christina, you'll love this. The first one is 21 ways to use communication to increase business opportunities. And number 2, an introspective video journaling tool that I share about in the book. These both are so effective at skyrocketing your communication confidence right away.
Well, this has been awesome, Renée. I just have to thank you again for sharing all these wonderful tips with our audience. I know it's going to explode them into the end of the year and into 2022 here. Hoping it's even better year for you and everyone. Thank you so much, Renée, for coming to Savvy Broadcasting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.